Have you ever been in a conversation with someone, and halfway through, you realize they weren't really listening to you? Not because they were distracted, not because they were tired, but because somewhere in their mind, the conversation had already shifted back to them. You were talking, but they were waiting. And the strange part is, they didn't even know they were doing it. That's not an act. That's not cruelty. That's something much more complex than most people realize. Because narcissistic thinking doesn't look like what movies show you. It's not always loud. It's not always obvious. Sometimes it's quiet, subtle, almost invisible, until you know what you're looking at. Here's where it starts. Most people move through the world with a kind of basic assumption that other people have inner lives just as real and complex as their own. You feel something, and instinctively, you understand that the person across from you probably feels things too. That shared recognition is the foundation of most human connection. Narcissistic thinking operates from a fundamentally different starting point. It's not that narcissists are incapable of recognizing other people exist. They clearly do. But on a deeper psychological level, other people are experienced more as characters in a story, and the story has one central figure. Psychologists sometimes call this a collapsed sense of object constancy, the inability to hold a full, complex, consistent image of another person when that person isn't actively serving a function. The moment you stop reflecting something useful back, admiration, validation, agreement, you stop feeling fully real to them. That's not a choice. That's a cognitive and emotional pattern that was built very early, usually in an environment where love felt conditional, where worth had to be earned, where being seen required performance. This is where the behavior starts making sense. Narcissists don't just want attention, they need reflection. There's a difference. Attention is external, reflection is identity confirming. When a narcissist seeks admiration, what they're really doing is trying to stabilize an internal sense of self that never fully formed. Underneath the confidence, and sometimes it's very convincing confidence, there's a self-image that depends entirely on external input to stay intact. So when you pull back, when you disagree, when you stop performing the role they unconsciously assigned you, it doesn't just feel like a social inconvenience, it feels, at a deep level, like erasure. That's why the reactions can feel so disproportionate. A small criticism lands like an attack, a missed compliment feels like a betrayal, indifference reads as aggression. They're not overreacting to what happened, they're reacting to what it threatens.
And here's where it gets interesting. Most people assume narcissism is about loving yourself too much. That's the popular idea. Inflated ego, endless self-focus, supreme self-confidence. But it's almost the opposite. Narcissistic thinking is built on a fragile self, not a strong one. The grandiosity, the need for control, the constant demand for validation, those aren't signs of someone who feels too good about themselves. They're the architecture of someone who, at their core, doesn't trust that they're enough. The superiority is a shield, the entitlement is a defense. The manipulation isn't coming from a place of power, it's coming from a place of profound psychological insecurity. That doesn't make the behavior acceptable, but it does make it understandable. And understanding it changes everything about how you read the interactions. One of the most common questions people ask is, do narcissists feel empathy? The honest answer is layered. There's a difference between cognitive empathy, the ability to understand intellectually what someone else is feeling, and affective empathy, actually feeling it with them. Narcissists often have intact cognitive empathy. They can read a room, they can identify vulnerability, they can recognize what someone needs. But that recognition doesn't automatically translate into care. It often translates into information. And sometimes that information gets used, not to connect, but to influence. This is why people who've been close to narcissists often describe a particular kind of confusion. The person could be incredibly perceptive. They could say exactly the right thing at exactly the right moment, and yet something always felt slightly off, like the warmth was strategic, like the kindness had a condition attached. That feeling wasn't paranoia, it was pattern recognition. Spending time close to narcissistic thinking leaves a specific mark. Because when someone consistently positions themselves as the central reality, when your feelings are regularly minimized, your perspective gently dismissed, your needs quietly made secondary, you start to doubt your own perception. Not dramatically, slowly. You start to wonder if you're too sensitive, if you're reading too much into things, if the problem is actually you. That self-doubt isn't accidental. It's the natural byproduct of a dynamic where one person's internal world is consistently treated as more valid than yours. Over time, that imbalance shapes how you see yourself. And that's what makes understanding narcissistic thinking so important. Not just for understanding them, but for understanding what happens to you inside that dynamic. So, what does narcissistic thinking really look like at its core? It looks like a self that never learned it was safe to be ordinary, a person who built elaborate psychological structures around a wound that never healed, someone who moves through the world collecting reflections because without them, the image goes dark. It's not random. It was never random. It's a pattern shaped by fear, maintained by habit, and invisible to the person living inside it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that shift in perception, from confusion to clarity, changes something quietly. Not how you respond, just how clearly you see. Understanding yourself is the beginning of everything.